Good evening, everybody. Welcome to CWU Live. My name is Marcus Barnett and I work in the union's comms department. Joining us for this really important session tonight is our National Officer, Davy Bowman. Hello, Davy.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Not bad at all. Not bad at all.
Grand. And I'm also joined by Julia Upton, the Vice Chair of the union's PFS Executive. So it's fantastic to see so many people jumping on the chat already and getting involved. It's always a pleasure for us, in our department to host these events so that members can hear directly and properly from the union. This event is all about you, our members. So as much engagement as possible, in the comments box would be brilliant. Please let us know where you're from. Tell us in the comment box how long you've been a member. Ask as many questions as you like. Obviously, we won't be able to fit everything in, but we will try our hardest, and we will try and get the best possible discussion going. So tonight's discussion obviously is for Openreach members, but if you're not just an Openreach member, don't worry if you belong to another business unit, because we'll be having further sessions down the line for your section 2. And I hope you still get something out of this, because there's still so much, for us as a union to be discussed in here. In the meantime, please everybody, like and share the link, tag your workmates in the chat, send it around your WhatsApp chat. Let's try and get the biggest possible turnout for this, so the most amount of our members know exactly what's going on with this dispute. So, as I said, we'll move into questions as soon as we can. But firstly, I'm going to give Davy and then Julia the chance to set out where we are with the ballot, the Count Me In campaign, and just how important it is that Openreach members back the union at this crucial time. But on to you, Davy.
Thanks very much, Marcus, and welcome everybody. It's great once again to have this opportunity to sort of set out to you, specifically from an Openreach point of view, why this campaign is so important from your perspective, and why it's absolutely essential that when the ballot starts that you vote and you vote yes. And part, I think, what we want to do tonight is debunk some of the sort of Openreach company messages and myths. And the first thing I'd like to say is it doesn't matter whether you've been in the company 30 weeks, 30 months, 30 years. It really doesn't matter. The issues that we're fighting for here will impact you, can impact you. And it's really important, whether you're in field, whether you're in desk, it doesn't matter. Cabler, jointer, CSE, and the desk, whether you're a planner and the control, it really doesn't matter, because what's at stake here is the culture, the relationship, but also absolutely crucially is your voice in terms of the changes that are taking place within the company at this point in time. And I can't emphasize enough that the changes that are taking place and the change in the attitude from the company will at some point or other affect you as an individual. There is no doubt with that point. And I suppose the other thing in terms of opening that I would say is that the terms and conditions that you enjoy, we all enjoy now, fundamentally are a legacy. And they're built on a legacy of the fact that the CWU and its predecessors has fought hard to make sure that those things exist and are there to be protected. So, from an Openreach perspective, and I agree, Marcus, if there's people on from technology, from enterprise, from EE, welcome. It's great, that we're actually looking at this as a whole. But from an Openreach point of view, compulsory redundancies is really, really important that we defeat that type of culture, because fundamentally, once a company moves to utilising compulsory redundancies as a resourcing tool, then in effect it completely breaks the link in the relationship we use an individual, and it fundamentally breaks the link with us as the CWU on your behalf. And it is really, really important that we take the company away from that. The union on your behalf asked for something very simple, and that was a moratorium. Stop the compulsory redundancies. Give us the opportunity to sit down with you and come to an agreement across all the issues that we've got a problem with. Give us that moratorium. Stop doing it for a period of time. The response from the most senior person in the company: we've had a moratorium on compulsory redundancies since 1984. That tells you everything, tells you absolutely everything. And if that's the view, that will undoubtedly filter down to the senior managers, and therefore down and through the company. Grading and unagreed pay points, regardless of what you do at this point in time, no doubt at some point you would be thinking about promotion, moving your career forward. The challenges that we've got again around unagreed pay points and unagreed grading is massive within Openreach. We've got a large number that we need to resolve. And don't think that they've stopped there. You know, the new role that's been brought in, the FTTP provision role that many of you recognise, changing the terms and conditions again. You know, Sunday, normal working day, no overtime at the end of the day, no fixed attendance patterns, no access to flex, you name it, they are changing that, right? And if they can change it for them, then by the Holy Harry, they can change it for others. And it doesn't matter where you are now, it's about thinking about where you may want to be in the future. And we need to resolve that within Openreach. Patch lead, field-based court, clerk awards, all on agreed pay points, all things that need to be resolved, controls, planning rules, all things that need to be resolved if you want to move in that direction. The location strategy, well, we're in a dreadful position with that at the moment, with Openreach settling in only 8 locations and everything that is associated with that. And what's happening right now, of course, is that we've got many people who are going through the IC process, the redundancy process, and their jobs are at risk, their futures are at risk. We've managed to deal with this before. We've been working together. We had 23 sites. We got it up to 32. We've dealt with it. We can deal with it again if they get around the table and talk to us in a reasonable way. Resourcing, too big a requirement on third party. Reskilling and retraining. Many of you telling us, copper people that have been in the company for years, really worried that they're not going to get fibre skilled, because that's what will be required in the future. And of course, our fibre members, our newer members who are desperate to get copper skills. There's copper in the ground now because they want to get a better pay rate, driven by the company and driven by the structure as it is at the moment. And you have to ask yourself, right, Openreach are complicit in the challenges that we've got. You know, they've had a really good year in terms of their profit and the money that they've taken in. They showed you that, they texted you that, they shared it on Workplace, what a fantastic time they had. They've had a good outcome, which we welcome to the Ofcom review, which means in the future, you know, they're settled. Large investment from both the group and via government in order to build the network in those more difficult, very difficult places. And during all of this, there's been a pandemic, and you as key workers have kept the country connected, but you've also ensured that from an Openreach perspective, the money has continued to come in. Now, if that's the case, and they've had a good year, and they know that we're having to ballot for industrial action because of decisions that are being taken at a group level with their support, you would have thought, with the number of employees, 30-odd thousand across the group, that they would have a foot in the door, that they would have a voice at the table. So they're either not using the voice at the table, or else they're complicit in what's happening. So what do we need you to do? Well, we need you to vote, and we need you to vote yes. And you showed during the consultative ballot that you will do that and that you support the position that we're in. We would love you to become an advocate, an ambassador, a point of contact, somebody that's going to go out and talk to others about the campaign, talk to them about the issues that are at stake, and talk to them about what they can do in order to help us win this campaign. Obviously, this is a national Facebook Live event, but there are branch meetings taking place up and down the country almost every evening in order that you can discuss on a more local basis with your local branch officers exactly what you can do and how you can get involved. It's fantastic we've got so many on the call tonight, or on this event tonight, but I would absolutely say to you, the most important thing is to vote, and to vote yes. We need a massive turnout, and we need a massive yes vote. That way we can demonstrate, you can demonstrate to the company that the type of changes they're seeking to put in place, the sort of changes that they want that will impact you throughout your career in Openreach and the wider BT are not acceptable. They have to be done with agreement, they have to be done via the CWU, and you have to get your voice back. So thanks very much, Marcus.
Cheers, David. Spot on. And I must say, you know, there's over 2,000 people on this call tonight, which I think is really, you know, showing testament to the force of feeling amongst our members on this particular issue. So thank you very much again for that. And I'll hand you over to Julia now.
Thanks, Marcus, and welcome everybody. And thank you for giving up some time this evening and engaging with us. I know the fact that you're on here, hopefully you recognise how important this is and we do really appreciate it. And as Davey said, we'd already done the consultative ballot, and the response from Openreach, or from everybody, but from Openreach in particular, indicates to us that you do understand the issues and the importance, and that you've said that in the consultative ballot. But I know there are still people now saying, why now? Why do we need to do this? And we have the two camps, if you like. We have as many people saying, why now? Why not sooner? Some of these issues have been around for a while. Why did you not do this sooner? And then we've got the other camp that's saying, well, why now? Because I don't believe this necessarily affects me at the moment. And what I'd say to all of you is that the CWU haven't changed. The CWU, and the reason we haven't done this previously, is our mantra, what we would want to do on your behalf, is always to try and negotiate our way through this. The company's success and your job security, that is key. We are not about attacking the company. This is a last resort for us to ballot members for industrial action. It is our instinct on your behalf to always try and negotiate our way through this. That is what we believe is the most successful outcome, and will continue to be our aim. But we have to be very clear at this moment in time. What has changed is the company, not the CWU. The CWU hasn't changed in its approach. It still wants to negotiate its way through. We still want to work in the best interests of our members. What has fundamentally changed is the company's approach and the value the company places on you as employees. And for some people, that is a real shock to the system. They have been proud to work for Openreach for many years in some cases, or those that have only worked for fewer years joined the company believing this was a really great place to work, was a really good job. So it has come as a real shock to people's systems that the company in the last year or so, 2 years, has become almost unrecognisable in the way that it values its employees. Some of the things we are now facing in terms of, as Davies outlined, compulsory redundancies, unagreed pay and grading, all those things is down to how the company value you. And we have to change that, because that balance of power changes when the company decides that actually it doesn't matter if it loses the skill and the expertise and the loyalty of long-standing employees, and are prepared to pay paid leaver or compulsory redundancies, because actually what it would rather do is recruit new, and doesn't recognise the value that you have brought to the company and continue to bring to the company, then, as Davey has said, that fundamentally changes the relationship. And at some point, you as the employees, us as the union on your behalf, we have to make that stand to have any sense of pride and dignity, and to change the company's thinking. We have to make that stand. And that's what we're asking for in terms of the forthcoming ballot, is that we collectively, in the way that you did in the consultative ballot, but again in a statutory ballot, we collectively say to the company, this has to change. And whether you don't think it immediately affects you, believe me, that change in relationship will be coming to a place near you very soon if we don't stand up to the company now and collectively say things have to be different. I wish that the senior managers could shadow what I've been dealing with over the last few weeks. When the CEO turns around and says, when it comes to compulsory redundancies, we'll do it in a classy and elegant way. Well, I wish he could listen in on the calls that I've had over the last few weeks to people facing compulsory redundancy, at risk of redundancy. Believe me, there is no classy or elegant way of doing that. People are distraught. They cannot believe that this is the company. They keep saying to me, but they won't really do it to us, will they? Because this is Openreach. This is BT Group. They won't really do this to us. People's lives are being pulled apart. And we have to make a stand, not just because of compulsory redundancies, but as Davey says, that changes the relationship. And if they believe that they can get away with these issues without we're all standing up collectively and saying, no, we're not taking this. This isn't the way to treat people. We care about this company. We care about the customers. We are bringing lots of skill and expertise to the role and to the success of this company. And you have to start valuing us. So what we're saying, as Davey has already said, is please, when that ballot paper arrives in the near future, and we'll come on to that later, we need you all collectively to make that stand, to tell the company how you feel, so that we have the leverage to make this the place it should be to work.
Thanks so much, Julia. You put it fantastically. We've now got over 3,000 people on this chat. So more and more people are coming in as we speak. So keep up the enthusiasm, keep the questions coming in, keep on writing and voting yes in the chat box. I've just got some questions now that are coming in. I'll try my best to sort of put them all together. So Julia, I could come back to you first. It's a question about the union threshold. The very, very draconian anti-union laws that the Tories put in, and obviously crossing this threshold is pretty difficult for most trade unions. So how difficult do you think it is to vote? Sorry, how important do you think it is to vote? And do you think that industrial action can be stopped by the courts if the ballot goes in favour of yes?
I mean, it absolutely is. I can't stress how important it is to vote. Those thresholds are put there not in the interest of the union. They're put there in order to make it as difficult as possible for us to go forward with a statutory ballot for industrial action. But we've shown in the consultative exercise we can smash those thresholds. But going forward in a statutory ballot, we can't be complacent and say because all of our members voted in a consultative ballot, they will do the same in a statutory ballot. We have to stress again, we have to smash those thresholds. So voting is really important because we have to ensure that the vast majority of our members who are eligible to vote. So I plead with you to vote. Don't assume that clearly everybody you speak to is voting yes, so this is a winner, because it doesn't matter if everybody you speak to votes it said they will vote yes. Unless they actually vote, we don't hit those thresholds. But then obviously really importantly is that you do vote yes, so that it's an absolutely strong message, not just to meet the thresholds, but a strong message to the company that this has the overwhelming support of their employees, of our members. So yes, it is really key. The company can always try. Nobody, the company realizes the impact of industrial action. That's why it is our ultimate tool to use, because of the detriment that could bring to the company and the customers. So they will do everything possible to try and avoid industrial action, and that may be a challenge in courts. We are putting all the work in that we need to put in now to make sure that we meet all of the requirements of a statutory ballot, all of the legal requirements. You'll all have been contacted recently by your branches for data to make sure that all of our membership data is accurate, that we know exactly who are members, who are eligible, where you work, home addresses, so that we can get ballot papers to you. That is not just a nicety, that is a legal requirement that we have to tell the company exactly who we are balloting, who's eligible to vote, and where, and workplaces, overall numbers in workplaces. So yes, there can always be a legal challenge. We are doing everything we can to make sure that we are fully compliant and smash the thresholds, and therefore there is no grounds for a legal challenge.
Thank you, Julie. I think that's probably going to be reassuring many members watching tonight. But if I might move it over to you, Davey, there's plenty of questions about taking industrial action, and plenty of concerns about members about how long it's been since they've last taken industrial action, last balloted for strike action, and so on. Do you think, as many people are advocating in the chat, that more experienced colleagues need to become they need to step forward a bit? Maybe they need to become greater advocates for the union. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think, look, we understand that people will be concerned. Who wouldn't be concerned? And that's a long time, since we've had to go down this route. 1987, the last national strike. 1999, a number of colleagues came out on strike. We had a ballot for industrial action in 2010. We didn't even have to declare the result. We managed to resolve the issue. So this is not something as a constituency or within BT that we do on a regular basis. And it echoes the point, I suppose, that Julia made about it's not us that's changed. We want to fundamentally make sure that the company gets back to the table. And what we do is we find a negotiated settlement. That's what we do. That's what we've done for years. That's why, to a great extent, the things that we're defending now, that they are trying to take away, right? And that's what the things we have now, they are trying to take away and change. There are a legacy by trade union activity over the years, trade union organisation, membership participation, membership driving the agenda and the policy and the direction in which we go. So clearly, those members that have hair a similar colour to my own and have been about for a long period of time, absolutely, we would love people to become advocates, talk to colleagues that may be concerned about what's coming, what may happen. But I would also say that there are also lots of people across the spectrum who may be newer employees who may have experience of being involved in industrial action from elsewhere that can also bring those things to the party. Look, this is not a step the executive took lightly. It is not a decision that they took thinking, well, we'll just take the decision and see what happens. We took the decision because we believed fundamentally it was the only way we now had to get the company to start to rethink its approach on all the issues that we've covered just now. So those people that have been involved in the past, those people that have been involved in the company and employed by the company for a period of time, absolutely, become advocates, become points of contact, but the door's not closed. If you've been in, as I said earlier, 30 weeks, 30 months, 30 years, if you're a member of the CWU, you're within Openreach, technology, EE, BT, wherever you are, come. That we are not full. We are not stowed out with people that want to do this. There is always room for more. We've got lots. There's always room for more, and it will be through those conversations that we'll be able to give people the confidence to do what we need them to do. And if I just use one recent example, and I've seen it's flagged up a couple of times on the comments that are coming in. We currently have a group of people who are taking industrial action right now, separate trade dispute right now. 170 members who are repayment project engineers, who are D1s, and they're not fighting for them, they're fighting for the future. They're fighting to ensure that role in the future continues to be a team member grade. They want to leave a legacy. So the role that people play to ensure that we have that legacy across the whole of the piece is important. And on the back of the points that Julia made about the threshold, if I look to that particular ballot, we've got 94% turnout and an 86% yes for strike action. We need to be able, across the group, across Openreach and across EE, to be replicating that. So every vote counts, really important. And yes, become an advocate, become an ambassador, become a point of contact, get involved and help your colleagues make the right decision by voting yes.
Cheers, Davey. Now, back onto you, Julie. On a lot of those themes, what would you say to someone, who does back the union, but, is scared of taking strike action? They think it might just be all out to resolve, like the miners, as one person's asked, or, they feel like it might, put them under the cosh of management even more, for example, or, maybe, even they can't afford to take strike action, or they're worried about the broader financial issues related to it. What would you say to members thinking about things like this and unsure about how to cast a ballot in the coming weeks?
Yeah, thanks, Marcus. I mean, what I'd say is it's perfectly natural. Of course, everybody feels like that. Nobody goes into a ballot wanting that to be the outcome, and that is why, as we've said, it is always our aim to try and avoid it. It is absolutely a last resort. But what I would say, and I've always said to people, clearly those fears are there, but there does come a point sometimes when those that say we can't afford to take strike action, sometimes you can't afford not to either. It is so important. The outcome of this and changing the company's direction is so important that what I would say to people is, please vote. Yeah, we have to be really careful. We're not saying that vote yes because we don't intend to take action. Just vote yes just to give us the leverage, although the leverage is really important. But we have to be honest with people and say that whilst we want the leverage in order to try and avoid strike action, it's also there to give us the mandate that should we need to, we will take it. And so, but what we'll give you absolute commitment. We've said all along, it will be the last resort, but there will come a time, we believe, where you can't afford not to. The impact on people, we're fighting for terms and conditions. We're fighting for people's jobs, the survival of their jobs. So they'll be sitting there saying, well, they're worried about taking some, however how long that industrial action ends up being. They're worried about losing pay over that, but they could lose their job. This isn't just about a few days, a few weeks pay. For some people, it is their permanent pay. The same with the unagreed pay points. If we don't get this resolved, we have no chance of going forward with better pay in the future. So sometimes we have to sacrifice a little to gain a lot. And what I would say is that you can't afford not to. If it gets to that point, please have trust in us. We'll have only got to that point as a last resort, and you can't afford not to, because the impact on this going forward for your future is huge. We have to change the mindset and the direction of the company, and that collective strength is key to that. So I would ask you, please, if you've got concerns, speak to your branches, but please think through what this means long term, not just any potential loss of income short term, what this means long term.
Well said, Julia. Now, Davey, also, we're getting plenty of questions here about desk-based jobs. How real do you think is the threat to desk-based jobs in Openreach?
It's a massive threat, and as I said in my opening remarks, we're in a situation where Openreach has determined, and it is an Openreach decision, don't let them hide behind anybody else. Openreach have determined that they are only going to be in 8 locations throughout the UK. Now, this is a major impact. If I go back to the deal that we did 5-6 years ago, around working together, we had a similar approach by the company. They wanted to reduce the number of desk-based locations. At that point, they wanted to reduce to 23 through negotiation and discussion. That total went up to 32, plus another 4 retained sites in small locations where there was no other desk activity. For example, as far north as Inverness and as far south as Taunton. And we also got, which was absolutely crucial, what we also got was a commitment that anybody who couldn't move to one of the new locations would continue doing what they were doing, and the company would bring work to them. So yes, we did reduce the number of sites. We did reduce those sites, but what we also did was we got that absolute commitment for people to continue working where they were if they couldn't move. We have sought from Openreach a commitment that they will do the same thing, give that commitment to people, but they're not interested and they won't give that commitment. And because they are utilising the 8 locations and not the locations they've got people just now, there are whole swathes of the country where they're just moving out of. If I look at the most extreme example, and that's London and the South East, there will be no Openreach desk presence in London and the South East. They have taken the decision to move out of there. That runs into a 4-figure sum of our members who are currently at the desk. More than 25% are in those 2 locations. So it's devastating in that regard. And it doesn't have to be like this. If I go back to what I said about the pandemic and key workers, within about a couple of weeks, 98% of our members who were based at desk were working from home, and they have been doing so for the last year in order to keep things going. I've not had any emails or calls or meetings with the company saying we can't cope, people working from home are not productive, people working from home, we're providing a terrible service. Quite the opposite. I think all the studies will show you that they're more productive and more efficient, which is why hundreds of businesses are moving to either a home working approach or an agile approach that allows people to do a balance. And that's what we are seeking to achieve, is to have, yes, to have your location strategy. Yes, look at where you want to be, but recognise the impact that has on people and recognise the contribution that they've given over the last 12 months and far further afield in order to keep that service going. There is no reason why that's not the case. And I would say this, if somebody can't sit in a house in Watford or in Portsmouth or in Inverness or anywhere else and provide a cracking service on behalf of the customer, then how is it possible that there are hundreds, if not thousands, of jobs offshore being done, not even here being done, on Openreach's behalf, using government money and BT Group investment in order to build the network. And if we are, and if Openreach are going to be successful, and we hope they are, building that fibre network on behalf of the UK society, then surely they've got a responsibility not only to maintain, but to build UK jobs. So the location strategy, Marcus, is a huge threat, and we will be doing everything we can to ensure that our desk members, those who have done the business over the last 12 months and for far longer, are looked after, and it's a key part of this campaign.
Well said, Davey. And getting a lot of questions here about pay talks and pay rises here, Julia. So, will we get a proper pay rise? Are pay talks ongoing, or is it a flat no from the company?
Thanks, Marcus. I'm not surprised we're getting lots of comments about pay, given what's happened over the last couple of weeks. And let's be very clear, the bonus, and I'll refer to it as a bonus that has been offered, not a pay rise, a bonus that's been offered, we absolutely support. You deserve it. Given the last year and everything that everybody's done through the pandemic and keeping the country connected, absolutely, you deserve every penny of that bonus. So please don't think for 1 minute that the CW is opposed to you getting that bonus. But I'm very clear in what I'm saying. It is a bonus. It is a thank you bonus for what you've done over the last year. It is not a pay increase. So as far as we're concerned, thank you very much. We'll take that on your behalf. You are very deserving of it, and quite rightly so. But it is not a pay increase, and it will not keep food on the table. It will not pay your mortgage. It will not pay your rent. It will not allow you to apply for a mortgage or get rental agreement because of it won't show in any increase. What is really important is what I said before about not being able to affording not to take strike action. This is about the long term. It isn't about a bung for now. It is about going forward what you deserve to match inflation that's coming, and to keep up with standard of living, and to be rewarded appropriately year on year. So yes, as far as we're concerned, that is not the pay increase. We have to continue to press for a pay increase. You are fully deserving of that pay increase.
Well said, Julia. And back onto you, Davey. Like, plenty of questions here, about BT and standing up to BT as a an entity, if you like. Plenty of comments about how they got such greater resources than our union. How Janssen's got a contingency plan for, in his own words, for industrial action. Do we, how do we beat back their propaganda? How do we beat back their plans? Do we know what this contingency plan for industrial action that he's been talking about, do we know what it looks like? I wonder if you could fill people who are commenting on these questions in a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure, as we have experienced with our repayment project engineers, there'll be lots of planning and lots of talking and lots of ways to try and scupper what it is we are doing. But fundamentally, at the end of that is the question, can we win? And my answer to that is yes. To use the very simple phrase, we are many, they are few. It is you, the people that are on the ground on a day-to-day basis, that are delivering the service and are keeping the country connected and are ensuring that this company continues to be successful. I have absolutely no doubt whatsoever, utilising things like Facebook Live, utilising, as we said earlier, the branch meetings, still out talking to people, but appropriately socially distanced, that we can win this ballot and we can win this dispute. Because at the end of the day, at the end of the day, then right is on our side. You believe that. The people listening to this right now believe that, and you demonstrated that in the consultative ballot very, very clearly with the turnout, and the overwhelming 97.8% of people said, I will vote yes for strike action. That tells us everything. They can have their your say surveys. They can, interpret that. We've had a couple of meetings recently where they've gone through your say, and effectively it's, well, we expected it to go down a wee bit because of the pandemic, and we expected it to go down. They are in denial about the fact that people feel particularly hacked off and concerned about the changes that the company are bringing forward, what they are going to do to them now, and what they're going to do to you in the future. So can we win? We will run a fantastic campaign. You know, we've got a comms department that's across everything. We've got an industrial executive that's 100% focused on winning this ballot and winning this dispute. We've got regional contacts, we've got branches, we've got representatives, we've got ambassadors, we've got advocates, and we've got points of contact, all out there working hard to ensure that the message gets across, that the message is clear, and that people understand that this is a fight about the future. It's a fight about creating your legacy for those that come after us, and creating an environment where you can go forward as an individual in your career, and with a pay and terms and conditions package that is second to none. I'll tell you, yes, we can win. Throw the resources, get the anti-union busters in, get the solicitors to try and trip us up in terms of the ballot's concerned. But I have absolute faith in the membership of the CWU and BT, Openreach and EE, and we are the many and they are the few, and yeah, we'll win.
Quite right, Davey. Well said. Julia, I've got a question, a specific question here from Lee Daniels. So it's with the prospect of copper provision and repair workload expected to decrease, why are we not getting FTTP skilled? For those of us who have the skills, why have we had splicers taken off us?
Brilliant.
Right, really good question. Hi, Lee. I do know Lee. The very it goes back, doesn't it, to where the company are putting priority at the moment, and the bringing people in to do work that you, quite right, as Davey said earlier, this reskilling and securing your future is absolutely key. Now, they've argued it's only temporary. They've taken that off you temporarily to give that to the new recruits and the specific FTTP people. But we have no doubt, and we understand why that you're so fearful because of it. And it is part of the ongoing dispute about resourcing and your futures that we need to protect, because there is no, it comes down to what I said before about how the company value you. And, you know, this whole attitude of they look to other companies and other organizations and how they treat their employees and think, oh, we'll have a bit of that. Well, this is Openreach. This is BT. We expect better of them. We expect them to put their direct labour workforce first. But clearly what they are doing is they're comparing with elsewhere. You know, you've got senior people within the company. You take the view, if you don't like this, you know what you can do. I mean, that is really valuing people, isn't it? And so, yes, I agree with you. It shouldn't be happening. The priority should be for securing the future and the skills and the expertise of our existing workforce. That is not the place that the company are in at the moment. And that is all part of why we need to be challenging this, to make sure that you don't find yourself, you know, the field members are saying to us when we talk about compulsory redundancies and people being pushed out of the company, well, that's desk, isn't it? That's not field. But the example that you're quoting there, Lee, is the exact reason why, when I say it's coming to a place near you soon, if we don't stand up to the company and we allow this to be the norm, we allow them to compare themselves with how other companies, you know, this is the whole race to the bottom, how other companies treat their employees. If that's what they're aspiring to, then all the more reason why we have to make the stand now. And all the more reason why, if they don't see sense quickly, we have no choice but to ballot to prevent those kind of things from happening.
Well said, Julia. And if I can finally bring it back onto you now, Davey, into practical terms, you know, we're getting plenty of members here, you know, saying like, when is the ballot? We want it now. What's the strategy? So if we could just end on that, perhaps you could explain that for us.
Yeah, no problem at all. I mean, building on what Julia said earlier, you know, via our branches and regions, supported by our organisers who are doing a fantastic job, we are ensuring that the records that we hold are as accurate as they can be in order to meet any legal challenge. So those of you who may have had an email from your branch, a phone call, a text message, please make sure that you respond to that and make sure that your details are up to date. We do find sometimes that members assume that if they change home address or if they change work location, for example, that because you're a member of the CWU, that somehow or other the company will naturally give us that information. They don't, and it's important that we have that information in order to meet. So that's a key element of it. The other side of it, of course, is calls like this, is events like this, is the branch meetings, and driving this campaign to a point where quite clearly we're in a position to start that ballot. And the other side of it is, of course, and Julia has been very clear about the fact that what we want is to try and find a negotiated way forward. At this point in time, I don't think any of us have any faith that the company would be willing or are willing to move in a direction at a pace or to an extent where we would do anything other than prepare and preparing very quickly. The executive will determine what that timetable is. We've set that out to branches. We'll be updating branches on Monday as to exactly where we are, and we will take it from there. But the plea would be to you is to continue to campaign, continue to talk to your colleagues. This ballot is not far away, and you would expect us to make sure that certainly from an administration point of view, the records are right to fight off that challenge. But we are not far off having to take that decision, if you like, and issue that notice.
Brilliant, Davey. Thank you very much. So before I hand it back to Julia and then back to Davey for some rounding up remarks, there is a few questions here asking about can we have vote yes stickers, which the answer is, of course, you bloody can. It's CWU. We'll get you, we'll sort you out with the right merch for, to do every job possible. So stay tuned on that. But, thanks so much for these contributions. Julia, Davey, everyone. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, commenting, asking questions, getting involved. Been a really good one and a really informative one, I think. And I'll hand it back to you now, Julia.
Yeah, thanks, Marcus. I suppose the point oh, sorry, I'm getting an echo on here. Hopefully you can hear me. I was getting an echo. The point that I wanted to make that I hadn't touched on, we said about people being probably younger workers or people who don't work for Openreach, who don't think this affects them. Hopefully we've covered why it affects everybody. This is about everybody's future. And we are where we are because of collective strength in the past, people sticking together in the past in a unionised workforce, that we have got the agreements that we have to secure going forward. We are very conscious that there are groups of people, I wouldn't necessarily just young workers, but have been in the company less time than others, who probably don't recognise that and haven't engaged as much with us over it. We are putting in a lot of effort specifically for younger workers and those with less service to get out to those specifically. We've set up a young workers working party to engage specifically with that group of people. And actually the message is no different. It's just we probably need different ways of making sure that everybody understands that this is about everybody. I'll finish where I started. The reason it's about everybody is it's how the company value you. And it doesn't matter whether you've been here 5 minutes, 5 years, or coming up to sort of 40, 50 years service. The company are making it very clear at the moment. They don't place that greater value on you, despite the fact that you are the success of the company. The contribution that you make, Davey said earlier about you being the many. This company's success is on your backs, the fact that you work so hard and so diligently and so loyally for the customers and for the company. But unless the company wake up to that fact and wake up to the fact of how important it is that they value you, and that you will rise up against them when you have recognised that they don't place that value on you, we have to get that message across loud and clear. And so my last plea, we've said it all the way through the meeting, hopefully it has come across. My last plea is, please, when that ballot paper arrives, send that message to the company as how you feel. It will be better than any possible Your Say survey or consultative ballot, which they claimed was just a survey, a statutory ballot, and winning that statutory ballot is so important. And please vote and vote yes. Thank you.
Well said, Julia. And on to you, Davey.
Yeah, I mean, thanks very much, and thanks for all of you who are watching live, and those of you that are watching it on replay. A couple of things probably to finish on. Be absolutely assured, those of you that work in BT, Openreach and EE, you know, let's widen it out for the final remarks. Be absolutely assured that the resources of the CWU are absolutely behind us winning this ballot and winning this dispute. You've heard on previous calls where we've had the Facebook Lives from the General Secretary, Dave Ward, who has made very, very clear his support for what's happening. Tony Cairns, the Senior Deputy General Secretary, who looks after the Wonga, has made very clear that those resources will be available for us to win. And we've had a cracking message of support for Terry Pullinger, who is the Deputy General Secretary Postal, and you'll know has lots of experience in terms of industrial action. And of course, Andy Kerr, who's leading the negotiations, has made clear to you all that everything that needs to be done will be done. So we will do what we have to do for you to win this dispute, but you have to do something for us, which in turn is doing something for yourself. You have to vote, and you have to vote yes. This is absolutely crucial. We have set out on this path. We have made clear to the company what we need and what we want on your behalf, and I hope we've set that out this evening for you. So we are giving you an absolute guarantee as the CWU, as the organisation, that, to use a phrase used by others, that we've got your back. And I'm absolutely sure that you've got our back, and we'll use your vote and we'll vote yes. This has been great questions. I think we hope that we've answered them for you. It's been a good event, and quite clearly from the messages coming in, then that support is there. But we will stand together, we will fight together, and we will win together. So thanks very much. Keep up the great work and vote yes.
Well said, Davey, and well said, Julia. Thank you so much for those contributions. You both said it so much clearly than ever could. But, you know, this is really such an important struggle. It couldn't be more important that all of us in this union stand together against these, you know, disgraceful attacks on job security, on, you know, fundamentally on workplace dignity. You know, so to all of you listening out there, you know, when that ballot paper lands, get ready to vote yes, and get ready to tell every colleague of yours to do the same, because, you know, as both speakers have alluded to, you know, you're the many and, you know, they're the few. So thanks for tuning in, and keep your eyes peeled for future stuff from the union, because, you know, we've got your back. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.